sword build. We're not getting started with actually working on the blade itself. So we're going to be doing a lot of draw filing. If you don't know what that is, it's just kind of using the flat end of your file. It just removes material a lot faster. Since I'm doing it traditionally, got to cut down as much time as I can. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, but it'll be worth it. It's going to look really cool. So let's get to it, guys. Come along.
So here I started off just using a lot of files for finding the points that come off, the two little big points that come off the blade itself. Not really sure what they do other than look cool. But then just using a hacksaw, trying to get off the big pieces as much as possible. I actually went through 3 sets of files to do all of this. So it was a little bit costly, but I wanted to do it as traditional as possible, like I said. I mean, as close as you can get to it. So just using a bunch of files, using I think 8 hacksaw blades. Just going through the whole process, trying to get it as close as I could. I actually went back with a little Sharpie and kind of did my details in just to know where to go to, but just a lot of filing, a lot of time too. So I used the belt sander to actually rough in my bezels, but I went back to the half-round file to clean it all up. It was a task and a half, I can tell you that much. So at this point I actually got the shape where I wanted it, so I'm using a flat file to just draw it along the edges, just to make sure everything's nice, flat, and even, just to get it all as homogeneous as possible. At this point you can actually really start seeing the blade coming out. It's nice and bright. It's starting to look like an actual sword, you know, it looks really good. It's taking a lot of time, but it looks phenomenal, and honestly doing it by hand generally gives you less mistakes.
Alright, so now we're at the point where the actual fun starts. The blade is to shape. It just needs to be heat treated and hand sanded to get a decent finish. I don't need it to be mirrored, but pretty close. And now we start doing the guard and the pommel and the handle and all the parts that make this look more like a tool than a long pointy bit of metal. So now it's gonna get fun. Now we're gonna start getting a actual sword together. It's gonna look super cool, super excited. Let's do it.
So here I'm starting working on the guard. Just like before, I'm doing draw filing to get it roughly to where I want it to be before I go to the forge. So here I'm actually using a template, you could say, based off the bottom end of the sword. I didn't want to actually use the sword when I forged it in, but this way the guard will actually be recessed slightly on the blade, so it should make a really good fit and finish with no rattling. So I did change the shape a little bit from what I originally had. I thought of, I just like this shape more, and I wanted to make a little more custom made piece rather than something right out of the game, just to make it a little more unique, you know? And personally, I think it looked much better. So here it is test fitted on the sword before I actually go back and clean it all up, but it's pretty solid. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and spend another 2 hours filing it all to shape and cleaning it up, and then going back with sandpaper, make sure it's a nice and decent finish with no deep scratches. So much fun. So I'm using a torch here just to get some more color on it. I actually went back with gum blue, vinegar, and some salt just to get a more decent finish on it, but it's a nice antique finish look.
So I think this is what I'm going to call it quits for the end of this video. We got the guard all finished up. Decided to do like an antique finish on it. I didn't like the idea of doing it bright silver like everything else. I'm kind of throwing my own spin on the sword. Just something you would find in the Witcher games, but not necessarily something that is in the Witcher games. Just to make it a little more unique. Probably next episode, we're going to roll back, start working on the pommel and the handle. I'm thinking of actually doing the handle in a beaver tail leather. It has a really cool grit effect to it, and it's a little rough to hold, so it just won't slide out of your hand. So that seems like a really good idea. So we're going to go from there. After all that, clean up the blade, get it heat treated, and then send it out to get silver coated, and then we'll rock from there. See you around, guys, and stay creative.